Hello, I'm Vicky Avery, Keeper of Applied Arts at the Fitzwilliam Museum. For this museum remix, I'm focusing on these two prosthetic iron hands. They were donated to the Fitz in 1938 by Francis Cripps Day. Cripps Day had been a student at Cambridge and a cavalry officer before becoming a lawyer and a historian and collector of arms and armour. They were his first of some 80 gifts to the museum, with many more weapons and armour, as well as prints and drawings following in the 1940s. We know nothing about the history of these iron hands. Judging from their complex mechanisms and careful anatomical modelling, they were probably made in Germany in the 1500s by armourers with help from clockmakers or locksmiths. Prosthetic hands of these kinds were expensive, about £2,500 in today's money, so only the wealthy could afford them. Most prosthetic limbs of this date were made for high-ranking knights or master gunners who had lost limbs during active combat on the battlefield and who wanted to continue their fighting careers. The expansion of gunpowder warfare in Europe in the 1500s caused horrific injuries that led to more required amputations. Competing visions of the body and ideals of masculinity led to disagreements between surgeons about amputation methods and the use of prosthetic limbs, which were vital in providing manual dexterity and restoring the image of the so-called complete body. This is probably why fingernails have been included on both iron hands, to make them look more real, and they may originally have been painted to resemble the colour of flesh. Historic iron hands are quite rare today. Only 40 or so are known to survive, with about a quarter of these in UK collections. Having been stored in the Armoury basement for decades, the Fitz's iron hands were redisplayed in 2012 to celebrate the London Paralympics and to remind visitors that prosthetic limbs have been around for hundreds, indeed thousands of years. And here you see a prosthetic limb on a beggar in a medieval illuminated manuscript. Museums, especially fine art museums like the Fitz, tend to be filled with objects that celebrate ideal beauty, such as this painting of Saint Sebastian. However, prosthetic limbs speak of disability and the non-conformist body. Museums are now actively grappling with how to make their historic buildings more accessible to visitors with physical disabilities. But what does the material and visual culture of disability look like? How can we tackle its underrepresentation in museums? In what context should these prosthetic iron hands be shown? How can we get visitors engaged in debates around body image? And how can we use our collections to talk about bodies that do not conform to current or historic ideals of beauty? Please join this museum remix discussion to ensure that objects and images around disability make it into our gallery spaces and onto our museum web pages. Thank you.